switch for my laptop. There you go.
You got HDMI? Or you need an adapter?
Yeah. Talk loud? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm Collier King. I'm going to talk about deep agents from LangChain. So I just called this subtitle a batteries included deep research framework. Might be a little, I'm not trying to sell it or anything. I don't work for LangChain, but basically it's trying to solve this problem of the shallow agents. So you think about like the most simple agent, it's just an LN that calls tools in a loop until some conditions met. This doesn't really cut it for like complicated use cases. There's the following pain points that tend to come up over and over again: sustained context, long-term planning is tough, complex workflows are not really feasible, and then parallelization and delegation is not easy. So that begot deep agents, and that's kind of a term that turned into this package. But basically, Harrison, the genius that built LangChain, studied Claude Code very intensely, and he came up with these 4 design components that Claude Code implements very well. And he tried to distill those into an easy-to-use Python package, and he called it deep agents. And so those 4 components are listed here, and I'm going to go through those in a second. So, like I said, it's a Python package inspired by Claude Code. It's all LangGraph under the hood, so it's kind of building on the existing success of LangGraph. You might recognize some of the syntax, like the create deep agent. There's a really simple function call that bootstraps the deep agent for you. It's just like create React agent, which is in LangGraph. And it's basically, if you're familiar with that, you've used that, it's just a simple LangGraph application you can build. It's growing, it's just brand new, but if you could look at this log scaled star history, it's taking off. If you look at it compared to LangChain, LangGraph, it's got pretty good growth trajectory. So people are jumping on this. Maybe a little hard to see, and I totally stole this from your blog, Colin, which is fantastic on this topic.
Thanks.
But you basically have a list of tools, a prompt, which is called instructions here. You have sub-agents, which are optional. You don't have to use them if you don't want to. And then you can specify the model. And you just take those and just plug it into this create deep agent function, and then you get back those components that I discussed earlier: the planning tool, the file system, the system prompts for the sub-agents, and then you have a general purpose sub-agent that does some stuff under the hood. And you get back this LangGraph agent. Super simple from a UX perspective, a DX perspective. It's hard to beat. So the first tool is the planning tool. They basically took this from Claude Code. They basically reverse engineered this and built it into deep agents. And so this is what lets deep agents come up with a plan and then track that plan over a bunch of steps through a to-do list. And that's how it stays on track over like long executions. The second thing is the sub-agents, again, Claude Code. These are subordinates that kind of have their own prompts, their own tools. Sal talked about context pollution. This is what helps avoid that with context quarantine. So the main agent isn't flooded with stuff that it maybe doesn't care about. And then there's the sub-agent that I talked about earlier, the general purpose sub-agent. And this on the right is just like a simple example of making a sub-agent. You give it a name, a description, a prompt. Maybe it's using a different model than the main agent, and you just plug that in as one of the sub-agents for the create deep agent function. And then you have your system prompt. This is a built-in system prompt. So again, they took or reverse engineered Claude Code's system prompt, and they will not let you edit this. This is like part of deep agents. It is on the roadmap to let users tweak it, but right now it's like part of the package. You'd have to go edit the source code if you wanted to update this. And they say in the README, like, this is what makes this package good, basically. They say, like, this is how it works. Like, this is the secret. So basically, you as the user, you can only customize part of it via the instructions parameter or the prompt here. And this is just concatenated onto the rest of the system prompt from Claude Code that they reverse engineered. And then you have the virtual file system. Virtual file system is the state. And so it's built on a file system, but it's really a LangGraph state object. And it has files, things that track pieces of data. You can pass these as the user when you create the deep agent, or the sub-agents can actually create and edit these files. So it's a virtual file system, which means you could run a bunch of stuff in parallel. It's all in memory. You won't have like stuff writing over each other. So it scales very well. And then there's these built-in tools. It comes with 5 built-in tools, and these you can edit if you're feeling risky and you want to live on the edge. You can disable these or change these. But this is how the sub-agents will keep track of what they're doing. This is how the main agent knows what to do, delegate stuff. So you have a to-do list, which write to-dos function. You have write, read, ls, and edit file functions. And so you can imagine all these sub-agents in the main agent kind of editing a bunch of files, quick succession, and keeping track of state that way. It's pretty cool, I think. Okay, so I'm going to give a little demo, and this is a hard turn in this presentation. But the example I came up with was like, what's a good deep research use case? And this might not be a great one, but let's assume I'm a product manager and I want to do research about my products. So the question products managers are worried about is they do, who are our customers? What are their use cases? Are we solving their problems? What are we telling them about all this stuff in our outgoing marketing material? What are the customers telling us about in their social media? Just so happens I have a bunch of data on this, so this is perfect. So I'm going to go over here now, and can we see that? Is that big enough? Probably not. I zoomed in. It's probably fine. Okay, so this is how you would set up a deep agents project. You just I have this helper function. It basically just creates, runs this create deep agent, and I'm passing it a model, and I'm passing it local tools, which is just a query tool to pull the data. And I have some prompts here. So I have a research instructions prompt, which is basically telling telling agent what it is, like, hey, you're a researcher agent, you're looking at marketing material, et cetera. And then it has these sub-agent prompts. So I have 2 sub-agents here. One to look at the marketing material, that's the stuff that we're sending to the customers. And then one to look at the social media, which is what the customers are sending to us. And I'm asking both sub-agents to extract use cases and personas from the content. And then the main agent's going to look at both, and then imagine that Venn diagram again. It's going to say, what are we missing? What are we overlapping? And then it's going to give some recommendations as far as what mismatches there might be between what we're telling customers and what they're telling us. So, this is my fantasy product manager agent. I'll just show you the tool really quick. It's it just runs some SQL queries. It's not very fancy, but then it runs some summarization, just some quick summarization. Get me the use cases, the user personas, the problems solved in this content. Just one sidetrack. Deep Agents doesn't by default surface a lot of observability when you're running it and you're reading the logs. So there's this handy post model hook parameter, and you can pass in whatever type of logger you want. I have this pretty verbose logger. I did see at first it would just run, and I was like, what is going on? I can't see, nothing's happening. And then I realized, I need to add this logger to really see what's happening behind the scenes. So I will show, I could run it. It takes a few minutes every time. I'll just run it over here. We can see how long it takes. But in the meantime, I'll show you. So in this case, I'm saying, hey, look for Workers AI. I work at Cloudflare. Let's look at Workers AI. Well, that's running. I'll just show you what this looks like when it's running. So this is kind of tough to zoom in. Basically, the first thing it does is it says, and I'm running this with Sonnet, this Claude Sonnet. The first thing it does is it writes the to-dos down that it needs to do. And then, these are the things that are going to get delegated to the subagents. So the first thing it says is extract the target product from the user's request. That was Workers AI, that's the product. And then it says the next steps are launch the marketing subagent, and then after that, launch the social media subagent. And then after that, compare the outputs from them. And then the last thing is provide the recommendations. So pretty simple use case. This is debatable if this is really a deep research use case. It's kind of on the edge. It's not that deep, but it does those things, and then it starts going off and running its different tasks. So you can see as it goes, it starts to track what it's doing. So now it's completed this first task. It's in progress with the second one. Keeps going. Now it's completed the second one and the third one, and now it's starting to compare the results from both of them. And then finally it finishes everything and it gives you a result back. And I should have asked this at the beginning, but who's used deep research before? I would hope a lot of people. It's pretty awesome. Every LLM as a service has it, like Perplexity, Claude, Google Gemini, they all have it. Basically it gives you a giant report back. And so this is what it gave me back. I ran it a few times. So it says like marketing versus social media analysis for Workers AI, overlapping use cases, personas, strong alignment, AI application development, surprise, right? That's pretty obvious. Serverless AI computing, edge AI processing, image processing, those are all overlapping. The personas that are overlapping, AI developers and engineers, that's pretty obvious. Startup founders, technical product managers, okay. And then what do the marketing materials overemphasize? Basically, threat intelligence. We talk a lot about that in the marketing docs. Not as represented in social media. Automated social media. We don't see that in the social data, but we advertise that more. We're talking mostly to CTOs and CISOs when we should be talking more to individual developers. And we're focused a lot on large enterprise, which is not as prevalent in social media data. So anyway, you can kind of get the gist of the report. It basically just describes that Venn diagram for you. Like, what are we overemphasizing? What are we underemphasizing? But it gave a pretty good result. I think it looked at, let me see how many social media posts, 500 random social media posts. And I don't know how many marketing materials it was. It was a lot, though. So did a pretty good job. And did this thing stop running? Let me see. Yeah, so it ran in 1 minute and 48 seconds. It's not always that fast. Sometimes it's a little slower. And the model does matter. I ran this with Sonnet, like I said. Opus took a lot longer. I haven't really compared the outputs, but I feel like Opus is probably higher quality. And I've run this probably like 10 times. I've seen a few times where it's just crappy quality, and I don't know why. And it's just the model, and I can't explain it. So I have a lot more testing to do, a lot more models to evaluate on, but I'm pretty impressed. It's a nice framework, easy to get started with. You just need a use case, and yeah, I recommend it. Check it out. The GitHub's really good documentation. Or check out Colin's blog. Colin's blog is even better. So. Let me go back to the PowerPoint, just so I could show this one slide.
Nice.
I made that in Google Slides, just like prompting inside. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
So they're stepping their game up. Yes.
So is there, I'm assuming not since you had to build the logic, but is there any like mechanism built in for interrupts, or you can build it?
Yes, it is. They built a lot of that. Most of the I won't say most, but a lot of the LangGraph features that you're already kind of familiar with are in this. So they note that in the README. They write human in the loop is there, MCP. You can have the MCP adapters in there. Here it is, human in the loop.
Put that in your prompt, like if you run into this situation, interrupt and ask for something like that.
That would be cool. I would love to test that. I'm sure it's possible because they show it in the docs. So yeah, tool. Okay, here you go. This is how you do it. Yeah.
That's really lit. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Collier.
Yep.
I appreciate you running with the
Yeah.